Hello, lovely internet people. Right, it's been a while. Here we have an exciting experiment just to see what's going to happen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare Marabu contact... Let me get my teeth in. I'm going to compare Marabu Contours and Effects Gold Silk Outliner 784 Metallic Gold with Silkcraft's own brand Gold Outliner. Okay, now this is the new version of Silkcraft's Gold Outliner. If you've got the one with the black top and the squeezy bottle, it's the old version, which is pretty identical to the Marabu. Okay, it reacts the same, it smells the same. Okay, the new version is the one with the white top, the much harder bottle, which I am already not entirely convinced about the feel of the bottle. I may have to put this in a different bottle to make it work for me because I like a squeezy bottle. Okay, this one, so squishy, so squishy. This one, not squishy. Okay, so without further ado, I've also got a couple of nibs. These are 0.5mm Marabu ones. You can't get these ones anymore. I'm using up old stock. You can get other nibs which will screw on to the tip of your outliner bottle. Right, let's frame up. So, excuse the noise, pins. Okay, so here we have pins. Here we have one I prepared earlier, piece of silk. Okay, this is, for those who want to know, Habitai 8. Okay, a lot of the silk you get in beginner kits is Ponji 5. As the number goes up, the silk goes heavier. This is Habitai 8. It's a smooth silk. It's not stretchy. And it's great for paintings. It gives a little bit more heft to scarves, all of that. So we get some pins. For those who've already seen my Happy Fan videos on the YouTubes, you will have seen a framing up video. And if you want this in more detail, you can pop over there, and there is one called Framing Your Silk. Okay, from a little series I did a number of years ago. Oh, there we go. So first I do the corners, then I get it running straight along here, and I put halfways in. Then keeping it so it stays fairly straight, I put 2 in here. These are the little three-prong silk pins. Okay, in they go. Then we rotate. And now we pull to the other side. Yeah, come here. And this is why cutting your silk slightly bigger than your frame is a good idea. I've cut this one a teensy bit on the small side. Cheapskate me. There we go. And here it comes. Now, this is 8 by 11 bar frame. Yeah, these are by Siesta frames. They slot together. You can get different length bars and they're fantastic. They're really nice soft wood and they're really nice. I really like working with them. Now, if you've got an end here with a long tail and a short tail, pin up your short tail, pull the long tail. As you can see here, whoop, 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 whoop. I've got bits which are tension to bits which are not. Now, some people say offset your pins. So I'm here and then I'm there and then I'm here and then I'm there, so you get a zigzag. That's all very well, but what it does if you've got straight grain silk is it means that the grain of your silk, if I put a few more on here, you will be able to see that if I put these in lines, if I pull here and pull here, the grain goes wavy across the silk. And that means that when you take it off the frame, your straight line is no longer straight. So try and make sure the grain of your silk goes straight across your frame. Okay, so let's do this tail and then we'll do the other tail. So again, make sure the grain's running straight across. Zabop. And whoop. Zabop. There we go. Rotate. You notice I'm doing something slightly sneaky here. They're 3-prong pins, but I'm only putting 2 pins in, leaving the third one hanging out. What that means for me is it makes them so much easier to put in. Because I'm working on a smaller piece, it also doesn't dramatically change the amount of support the silk gets, and it means I can just flip to get them out rather than having to either murderize my fingers or use the helpful pin removing tool. Let me show you the helpful pin remover. There we go. It's got a little bit here. You do it this way up. You hook the little hooky bit in and then you just lift like that and your pin comes right out. They're so helpful. But I tend to make it easy because, there we go. You see, they just flip out because I'm normally in a rush. There we go. So what we're actually here for today is outliner. Now, okay, Silkcraft outliner versus Marabu. Now, I've heard rumour that the Silkcraft, Silkcraft Gutta, I've heard rumour that this one is very similar to Dupont, acts very the same. I've not used Dupont, so I can't tell you for sure whether it's identical, but we'll see how this feels, and if I like it, I might buy some Dupont and do a comparison test. I will keep you posted. Right, so now, this says Gutta. This says outliner. Now, Gutta technically is supposed to be the solvent-based stuff, which is fixed by steaming. However, Silkcraft Gutta is like the outliner, and that means it's a water-based, acrylic-based outliner. Can be used with iron fix and steam fix paints to fix iron on reverse side for 2 minutes at cotton heat setting. 25ml hand wash. Marabu. We have exciting instructions in German. Water-based, can be combined with Marabu silk or silk colour, stenciling, painting, printing outlines. Yeah, I got that in the wrong order. When it's dry, fix as you would for Marabu silk. Now, for Marabu silk, that's ironing for 2 minutes, or it's, I think it's 15 minutes at 150 degrees in the oven. Something like that. Check it out on a bottle of Marabu silk paint before you do that, but I'm pretty sure it's 15 minutes at 150. That's what I usually do, but it comes out fine. So, how do we drive these? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some test lines and boxes. Right, I'm just walking over because I have, in my infinite wisdom, here we go, forgotten everyone's favourite kitchen paper. Or should I say everyone's favourite kitchen paper. I am not suggesting a particular brand. Depends what you want. Often I find the cheap kitchen paper, kitchen towel, is easier. Now, if I've got a massive sheet like I've got here, then I will just chop it up into bits about palm size, because it means that when I've got squodgy outliner on it, because I'm going to use this to wipe the end of my nib, it means that I can throw it away or put it to the side and then just use another bit, so I'm not going to get wet outliner on my fingers. So both of these are acrylic based, ironable. You need to let them dry fully before you do the paint. Okay, so let's see what happens. So what we've got here, this is the Marabu. Okay, I'm going to use it straight out the bottle first. Step one, off with the nib. Now the squeak was because this one, now if this is happening, you can see it's all spluting out the end. Take it off, squeeze your tube a bit, put the knob back on, and then it's not going to be trying to get out of the end. Now that can happen because it's got cold and then it's got hot, and when you turn it up, the heat of your hand heats up the air inside and expands it, which pushes the outliner out of the nib. So it's a good idea to make sure your outliner's at body heat before you try and put it straight on the silk. I usually tend to do that because that dries it a lot quicker. Right, so we have an outliner that is not escaping. This is good. So I'm left-handed. I tend to often work right to left if I'm tracing a design. Okay, so we're going to write the word Okay, and then a smiley face, because we can. Now what we want is some lines, some squiggles, some boxes. Okay, so we're going to go top to bottom, top to bottom. So we'll do a few of those. It runs really nice and evenly. Let's do 5, because obviously we like the music. Now, turn your work. Be on the bit that is not covered in outliner. You notice I'm letting it run. I'm easing the pressure off slightly when I get to the other end to give myself a clean end. There we are. Okay, and then the other thing I want is some boxes, because we're going to see how this holds the paint. Okay, now if you want a really good box, there, because here I went against the flow of the outliner, and that's what gave it that bobble. Now if I've got a bit of gold goop on the end, run it on here, give yourself a clean nib. Okay, so we'll have 4 little boxes here. I don't want to take up all the sheet because I need to leave room for the nib stuff. Let's have some circles here, or let's have a box. So let's see, I'm starting in the bit I was in. 3, I'm going to come round this way. Oops, hope I'm still on there. And there we go. Okay, so there we have some Marabu. Right, now, easiest way to make a straight line. I'm going to go round again. Sorry. Right, put this I'm having a moment, excuse me, there we go. Okay, so that's where I want my line on this side. I'm going to put it about 1/2 inch to the right, which is the width of this half of the bottle. Then we can run this along like so. Dead straight line. So exciting. If you want this, you can't do overlapping lines like this unless you suspend it above, because obviously it will sit in it and go sploot. So what I tend to do if I want a straightish line is I use my little finger to come down the edge like that, and we touch and we go. You need to make sure that you can lean back. There we go, one smooth movement. So you want to breathe in, start and breathe out all the way, because if you breathe in, you can get hiccups in your line. You might also get hiccups yourself, but hey, who's counting? Again, you can do that round the corners here. So pinky on, whoop, you can see I got caught there by a pin, and this is the one bad thing about leaving your pins to stick out. But this is an edge, which is on a sample anyway. You can see if I go a little bit more upright, I avoid those pins and I get a good straight edge. Now, the reason this is so helpful to put a line around the edge of your work, there, and you can see occasionally you get bubbles in your outliner. The trick is don't shake it before you start. There we go, and nice and upright, stay away from those pins. And la. Now, what I've done is very silly, because I'm going to do some more outliner here. And what therefore, I should have done this before I did the edge, because now, theoretically, I should wait for the edge to dry before I do the stuff in the middle, or risk getting my arm in it. Now, outliner, stand it up, because somewhere on the floor I have dropped the lid. Here it is. Yeah, I know, pulling all the stops out, here we are. So, apologies for any video shake. Oh God, yes, I'm very sorry for the video shake. I hope it's not going to be too bad. Right, squeeze out a tiny bit of air. Squeeze out a tiny bit of air. Then put the lid on. Now, what that does is it forms a seal, especially if you then do that. Pushes the outline down the end. Forms a seal, and also is less likely to explode on you next time you pick it up. Put that to the side. Right, roll up the sleeves, here we go. Now, next stop is this Silkcraft. Now, I've got a feeling this one's also going to do the splodey thing. So, take the lid off. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to need to clean that out later. This is quite a different experience, this one already. Oh, it smells very different. I'm trying to work out how to describe it. The Marabu didn't really smell at all. It smells slightly sweet, maybe? Yeah. Weird. I shall smell it further. Now, this, oh, okay, this bottle is far harder Let's see how it goes, because I get a sore thumb if my outliner bottle's too hard. So I may need to decant. So this is nice and clean. Oh yeah, I can barely get a handle on this at all. I'm pushing. This is going to hurt. It's coming out quite nice and smooth. The actual nib is a bit on the slightly rough. Did you hear that kind of? I think the nib is slightly rougher. It's definitely harder. It's a bit bigger. The hole in that nib is a bit bigger. Okay. So I would probably not advise using the Silkcraft Own Brown one straight out of this. Okay. Now, to get this out of the to get this out of the lid, roll it up and put it on to here like you'd put it onto the bottle. That's got quite a lot of it out. Pluff, put that down. Another one, roll it up, stuff it in, and take it. Now I'm pushing towards the outside here to get it into those screw threads. There we go. Spread it off there. Okay, that's most of it. Much cleaner. It'll do. So now let's try and do some boxes and stuff with this. It's, as I say, a bit on the hefty side. It's very runny. It is very runny, which is the only reason why I'm kind of letting it get away with it. Right, let's draw some lines. Yeah, this is hard on the thumb. Runs quite nicely. It's got good consistency. I do already much prefer it to the Pebeo. Pebeo is not my friend. I do not enjoy working with Pebeo for me, because I find it is too gloopy, too... I think I once described it as ready mixed concrete. But the Pebeo, the consistency of it, I do not enjoy. It comes out very solid and lumpy. I mean, I might have just had a bad batch, but I've tried it more than once and I was not impressed. So this is running well. You know, I think in a softer bottle, I could enjoy working. Could enjoy working with this. Okay, I'm having trouble with these lines, but I think it's the hardness of the bottle rather than the actual product itself having a problem. So I reckon if you get this, if you've got any old outliner bottles like I do, keep them, scrub them, use them again, because the old squodgy outliner bottles are so much nicer, so much easier to use, so much less effort. Here we go. Come on, up. There we are. Okay, those are going to need to dry, but what I'm going to do now, oh, my thumb. Yeah, do not like. This does have a good screw cap though. This does have a good screw cap. These other ones have a little kind of push pop cup, which goes on like that, whereas that does have a screw cap, which is quite nice. Not that I've ever had one of the, so you see screw cap, not that I've ever had one of these pop off, because they do sit on really well. And again, screw cap, which is already trying to escape. So, and this bottle, oh, I see, you can prise it off there quite easily, but it's stuffed in rather than screwed in. The Marabu, as you can see here, you've got the pop cap, and then you've got this which screws on, which is rather nice. So let's do the same thing with nibs. Marabu. Okay. Now, this is, there we are. Excuse the rustling. Okay, this is a 0.5mm nib made by Marabu. So I'm going to do that with the Marabu one. I'm going to have a look at this nib that the, okay. The lovely Allison at Silkcraft has sent me a nib to go with the Silkcraft Gutta. Now that is, looking at the size of the hole, I think she has sent me a 0.7 mil, because this one here in my right hand, hey, is the Marabu nib, which is definitely 0.5, and this one she sent me is, I think, 0.7. So that's really good to know. But what I will do is I will try each of these with a 0.5 mil nib, so you can see very clearly whether we're doing the same or not. So, Marabu. So, push, twist. So you're screwing it on like that. Okay, then take it down. Take this. This bottle feels so nice. Do a little wriggle on the silk, on the paper, to make sure it's working at the consistency, flowing the way you expect it to. Now, Marabu. Yes, the 0.5, I love this nib. I love the 0.5. I love the 0.7 for bigger work. The 0.3, it's beautiful, but it takes a million years to make anything because it is so, so tiny. So let us have some lines. Squeeze. There we go. Release. Touch. Squeeze and move. Release and up. Touch. Squeeze and move. Release and up. I'm just letting it flow onto the silk. If you can hear your outliner, hear that? I'm pushing too hard. If you want a thicker line though, you just press your thumb into the tube more. There we go. These look pretty good, don't they? I do love the 0.5 nib. You can get away. You see, I've got to go that way to get the best corners. There, 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 there. Think of your outliner bottle like a rocket ship, and the outliner is pushing it away. So you want to make sure that you're traveling with the direction the outliner wants to push. You can go sideways, and you can go sideways, but don't go up against the flow. Come down like that. But yeah, now I love, 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 love this. Right, what I'm going to do, take this off, unscrew like so. There we are. Now I'm going to be slightly naughty. Right, clean that, lid on. Never leave it uncapped lurking because it will dry out and be weird at you. Okay, I'm going to blow some air through this nib just to get the rest of that product out. Okay. Excuse the squeaking noises. Then I'm going to take the kitchen roll and roll it up into a little spiral. You see there, spiral. And then I'm going to put the nib onto the spiral like so, which will get most of the outliner out of it. There we are, you see. That nib was pretty full of outliner, but now I can see, and this is the other way of making sure. Next, I would wash this in warm water. Put the plug in first, guys. Believe me, if you know, you know. Put the plug in the sink before you start messing with these because they fit down the plug hole. The plumber does not love you, okay? But make sure that you can hold it up to the light and see through it. Listen. When it's dry, you will be able to just hear a clear stream of air, just like a little breath. You'll be able to hear that through it. If you hear bubbling, then it means it's not dry or it's still got product left in it. And if you can't see through it at all, yeah, you need to clean it better. Beading needles can be really good if you've got one that's got a stuck spout. Never leave this on the end of your bottle and walk away. It will go solid, especially in the summer. Ask me how I know. So let's see how this one, with this different tip shape, works with this. Okay. Wipe its nose. 3, 2, one, screw it on. So push and screw. Right, push it down, give it a little wriggle. Let's see how this looks. Excuse the second-hand kitchen roll. Ooh, it's good, but so much more effort. So much more effort. Let's have a go at this Silkcraft. I'm going to go this way because, again, my outline is all wet and I don't want to get my hand in it. So, it's nice. It's much better lying with the nib on than it is straight out of the bottle. I'm going to get repetitive train injury. I'm going to get an aching thumb in no time using this bottle. It's really stiff. I like the product so far. I do. But I think I need to decant it into a different bottle and try it again. But it flows well. It's not that different, actually. If rumour has it, it is Dupont, because it's definitely not Marabu. I can tell you that by the smell. It is definitely a different product to this. Just lines. Again, it's pretty obedient. These little boxes. Yeah, it's giving me thumb ache. Again, down and back in. Bop-a-dop. Bop-a-dop. Wombling, yes. Go here. Fill the stuff further away from you. Come here, be good. Before you fill the stuff nearer to you, that way there's less option to get your hand in it. Again, down and in towards. I feel like I've got more room to do pretty objects. On the other hand, I know I'm reluctant to use this. Yeah, I am very reluctant to use this. It's great. I think the product is going to be really good. It flows just as well as the Marabu. It's a very similar colour. I'll see you again when it dries. This one, the Silkcraft, is possibly very slightly yellower. Very slightly, but honestly, I'll need to look at it again in proper daylight. But they're pretty close. As I say, this one definitely smells different. They're definitely not the same product. But in terms of consistency, in terms of usability, apart from the fact that the new bottles are really stiff, you need to put this into a squeezy bottle or you're going to hurt yourself. But the product is good. Right. The next step is obviously going to be painting this up, which I'm not going to do until after it's dried, so we'll have to do that another day.